Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another session of the Roundtable here on mycountylink.com as we take a look at things going on around Darke County as well as West Central Ohio. I'm Alex Warner. I have Galen Blosser here, Mike Siegel on the outside, and right beside me here is Darke County Commissioner Matt Aultman, and we're going to talk about a few things going on around the county right now. And I think, Matt, first of all, welcome. You've become almost kind of a semi-regular here every now and then. Make an appearance, right? Kind of like a groundhog getting out and seeing his shadow, right?
That's right. I tell you, last time we was here, we spent an hour talking about agriculture, and I think we was like 4 or 5 parts of about that.
I was going to say crops have been grown and harvested in the amount of time that we spent time. Anyhow, let's talk a little bit about this electric aggregation, and that is aggregation, not aggravation.
Well,
so
it
let's
can
talk
be,
a little
or
bit
I think
about
everybody's aggravated with the price of electric. And, aggregation is something that some of you are already familiar with. If you live in Greenville, Versailles, Ansonia, the townships of Brown, Greenville, and Adams already are aggregated. So that means that you're kind of pool buying your energy costs, so you're not seeing the big spikes like everybody outside those areas are. You know, normally you're seeing 7 or 8 cents if you're aggregated, and outside those you're seeing 10 or 11 cents per kilowatt.
How does that come about? Those individual voting districts that have voted to this? Because this is like a cooperative buying program, correct?
Correct. So years ago, those particular areas, I remember when I was pushing Adams Township to get it, it was probably 7 years ago now already. The county commission board and stuff has been aggregated for probably, 10 or 12 or 15 years?
At least, yeah.
But it's the power of buying. So imagine going to Kroger's and buying yourself an apple. You know what an apple costs.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine getting all your buddies and friends and bringing a semi apples down from Michigan. You know what the cost of those apples are going to be. So the reason I use the word apples is a lot of you are already familiar with apples2apples.com. You can go in and buy your own electric, set it yourself without aggregation. But if you as one person go in and buy one apple, it's going to be a lot more expensive than a lot of people buying a semi-load of apples and get the savings from buying en masse. And that's what aggregation does, is it allows us to take everybody and buy a mass electric chunk because we get some value savings. And hopefully this is an option. We run it a couple years ago on the ballot, and I was out beating doors and things like that, and we didn't get it to pass. It was close. But people think we're getting our government's hands in people's personal business, and that's not true. The fact of the matter is we're just trying to offer the citizens of our county financial savings because we're financially hurting as a community. And whether it be taxes, or whether it be, production costs, whether it be, things that's going on in your personal lives, the rising cost of fuel and food and fiber and things like that. This is one thing that we can offer and help administer to the community to save some money out of your pocket. And, you always say, well, don't let government get involved because they'll screw it up. But, they've done this for so long, aggregation, that they got it figured out where we can't screw it up. It's going to save people money.
Yeah. Now, Mike, when you were on the
Yes.
commission, was this part of the process at the
Absolutely.
time?
I was actually on the electric board for the state of Ohio through CCAO, and Mark Fry and group, the Palmer Company group, was really good at this. They are excellent at finding the best deals.
They're out of Toledo, you
And
said.
because they've got so many other counties going along, they can really get a good deal. And Mark Fry is probably one of the smartest people you will ever meet when it comes to electric and gas costs and how to work them around. Very good people. Palmer, I highly recommend them. And like I said, I was on the state, the CCAO board, the electric board, and we did a lot of good. And I was real proud of what we did. And it's really a good idea. Electric aggregation is a good idea. And here's another good thing is you're not tied into it. If you want to get out of it, you can. And so
Does natural gas come along with this then too, or is this
It's
purely electric?
Purely electric. This one here, because there's only a certain amount of counties that have natural gas, and Greenville Township is one of them. City of Greenville is one of them. Ansonia is one of them. It seems like it followed that 118. That's where the gas passage is from Rossburg south.
Okay.
There's probably only 1 or 2 more townships that's that way. That's the next thing we're going to look at to see if we can get this. But there isn't as much savings in gas right now because gas is so cheap that electric seems to be the biggest problem that's affecting folks right now.
So where does Palmer draw the electric from what power plant is producing this that they're pulling from? I know you get involved in the grids and so forth, and everybody gets confused on that, but where's this all coming from?
It's all on paper. 100% of this savings is on paper. So AES will continue to deliver your electric.
The old DP&L.
Yep, the old DP&L. Dark Rural will continue to deliver your electric. But what they're doing is they're going out on paper, and there's folks that's doing this as an investment. So they are buying electric from an energy company XYZ in California or Texas or Idaho or wherever because they have excess. And then they're turning around, and that savings they're selling to you or the people of our county to save the savings. So it's all on paper. Nothing will change with delivery and where your bills are coming from and things like that. It'll just say on your bill, hey, XYZ company is selling you electric at this, and we go out for bid, see who has the best bid and lowest bid. And then your bill's still coming from AES. It says your delivery costs this, and that won't change.
Mm-hmm.
But your electric cost will be this, and it'll be provided through XYZ company.
Okay.
Which means that's where your savings is. It's all on paper.
If
It's kind
you
of like
look at-
playing the stock market a little bit.
If
Okay.
you go on the PUCO website, you will see like 10 or 15 different companies that'll show you their price. Well, what Palmer Energy does is they contact these companies. One of the big ones you'll see is Dynegy. I don't know,
Yeah.
we've been with them a couple times, and they'll say, okay, and Dynegy might have 5 or 6 different prices on there for different regions of the country. So Palmer will say, okay, if we have this many people, what can you sell us for in this region? And that's how it works. Everybody bids.
Why would the electric companies want to give up a third of their profit when, if they don't do this, they can just, you have to buy it at that high price? What's in it for them?
Well, they don't have a choice because they deregulated electricity.
Okay.
So this here allows them to offer different pricings for different places. So back in the 70s and 80s, before all that happened, you had to go with your power provider. And then during some things that went on politically and otherwise, they deregulated it. So now you can buy energy from wherever, and they're still paying them XYZ or X amount for electricity, and they're still providing it because back when they electrified Ohio and electrified Darke County, you couldn't cross lines. So wherever your line is, that's where you have to get your electric from. So they thought that was a monopoly, and it was. So that's when they deregulated it to be able to buy energy from anywhere, even though AES is delivering your electric to your house. Nobody else can. They're not allowed because of the electric rules and how they installed the grid and things like that.
When you said they deregulated, is that at the national or state level?
It was state at first. I don't know how it works on the national. I just know the state of Ohio deregulated it because you had a large amount of folks in an uproar because the prices in certain areas was higher than other prices, and they said, well, it's coming out of the same plant. Why are we getting charged this much more? And we're part of the bigger grid, the PJM grid. So it's out of New Jersey, and it's like the whole Northeast to the Indiana line is all part of that grid. So that grid, you could be putting power on in Michigan, and we could be using it in Ohio,
Okay.
just because it's part of that larger electric base.
Does this have any impact on customers like Dark Rural Electric?
So Dark Rural would not benefit. So Dark Rural is a private co-op. When you get that electric, they have their own set of rules. You won't see any savings on Dark Rural. The thing about Dark Rural is they're relatively, they're I don't know the word I'm looking for. They have a certain
Contained.
yeah, because they're a co-op.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're controlled by their customers.
Yeah, because I was on Dark Rural Electric out south of town for like 40 years, and I was always very satisfied with their service, but that will not be impacted by this.
Correct. But the thing is if you're a Dark Rural customer, I'm looking directly at you, is vote for your neighbor. Even though you won't save, you're just giving your neighbor the option to save. When this comes about, we're not pushing you to aggregation. We're allowing you to have the option to save money as part of this project.
Yeah.
And we're not, just have the option. That's all you're voting for, is to have the option to save money.
Okay, Gillen, you what do you have there? A
I've got some-
brochure?
Yeah, these, Matt brought these in and I kind of hoarded them, but I'll give you each one here.
Yeah, so what is this?
So this is kind of like a handbill that we've been printing out, handing out to different folks. It has all the big things on there about how easy it is. It explains all the stuff that we're talking about here today. And then on the back, and you probably can't see it at home, there's a map. And you can go to mydarkecounty.com, That there's the Darke County website. There's a link on there that you can pull this map up. And anything in blue, I'm sure you can pick the blue color up on the back. Anybody in blue will be the ones affected by this savings or by this aggregation. So, but that doesn't include the villages that lined in there. So you got like places like Gettysburg and Versailles and Arcanum and North Star and places like that. And they're separately on the ballot themselves. So the villages of Gordon, Gettysburg, North Star, Osgood, Pittsburgh, Palestine, Rossburg, and Union City also have this on separately. Because the county can't infringe on another government entity. So they're their own incorporated entity, so they're running their own aggregation. So that'll be seen on the ballot in those villages. But Versailles and Arcanum, they're on AMP service, so they're on their own electric buying
I was
grid
gonna
because
say.
they're production, they make their own electric, or they're buying their own electric for those two villages. So you're already seeing those savings from AMP service in those
Yeah,
two
if I remember
villages.
right, Arcanum, and I suppose Versailles too, you mentioned, Arcanum used to produce their own power, correct?
Correct, and I think they still have the plant, but I don't think it's operating anymore.
They have a bunch of gerbils or something on a wheel. I don't know how that worked, but
Can
I
we
do
put
know.
Stiegel on that wheel?
Wow!
So anyhow, so Arcanum and Versailles then will not have this on the ballot, is that what you're
Correct.
saying? Okay.
But all those other villages I mentioned,
Yeah.
some of the smaller villages, and then what'll happen is since they don't have a lot of members in that village, a lot of them typically sign up to go on with the county. That way we can be one big pool, one buying pool, and then we're all on the same kind of bidding cycle. So it doesn't benefit you, let's say, if the county bids this year and then you as a village bids next year, it doesn't, there's no power there. But if you're bidding all at once, you have all this huge amount of customers.
Right.
Then people kind of mouths start watering like, I want that pool of people because it's such a large mass of people. So you get a better price.
Does the county, Darke County, for example, does it have any other co-op programs like this where they buy affiliated with other groups like other counties or?
Healthcare for the county, we buy a big portion. It's called Subco. It's a consortium for our healthcare. We have insurance as a consortium with all the other counties in the state of Ohio. But there's also the co-op buying of materials. So we buy tractors on a co-op buying program. Vehicles are going through that program. So like our sheriff vehicles, there's a couple dealerships that buy 200 or 300 deputy cars. And then you go to that person, they have a flat price to save over buying individual Tahoes, let's say at one of our local dealerships. So there's some different programs that we can get savings as a government entity, but only government can get those savings because the way it's set up in the law and things like that.
I know a lot of the school districts around, go together to buy materials and supplies and books and school buses and things of that nature. So I know power and numbers is basically what this is coming down
That's all
to.
this is.
Power and numbers.
And
correct?
rural communities are always a little slow on the uptake because we've got so many people so far apart, so spread apart that it's hard to get people kind of bound together. We're one of the largest counties in the state, 600 square miles. And I tell you, some of these, you'll run a mile line of wire to one house. And we're doing the same thing with internet. There's just such wide gaps out here in rural Darke County that we've never really looked at this to bring everybody together into one pool. Up till the last couple of years when it became available. And it made sense financially.
I know, I was also on the Subco board, and one thing I can tell you about being on these boards is when you have 7 or 8 or 9 big insurance companies bidding for your work, and they say they've got like 60 or 70 counties that you're bidding for, you'd be amazed how that price comes down.
No, I
And it's the
bet.
same thing with electric. We've got, I don't know, probably 70-some counties that are on electric aggregation. Now, if Darke County becomes part of that, that's just another one that's gonna lower that price even more. And if you get on the PUCO website, you're gonna see 13 or 14 different companies that you can buy from in Ohio. Well, Palmer Energy does the same thing. They go, hey, we got 80 counties, what's it gonna cost us? Power and buying.
The grid, are we in decent shape on our grid here? Because you hear about New York City, LA. And also my question would be, since we're reducing the price of electricity, does that in any way affect the process of getting our grid and keeping it in good shape? Does that hurt that?
So I'll break that up into two answers. So the first answer is we're always using more and more electricity. And as a state and as a nation, we've due to regulations, drop some of the coal-fired power plants. So if you reduce generation and increase usage, what do you think's gonna happen?
Blackouts.
Yeah, or brownouts and things like that. So fortunate, here in Darke County, we have a booster plant out here on the bypass that
Right.
helps supplement into the grid. When
That's
it-
natural gas, right? Right
Correct.
there, yeah.
So that plant there, it kind of interjects energy as we get low here, so I don't have any fear of us having some issues. I think it's the bigger picture of bigger cities, or let's say a data center or a large facility or plant comes in and wants to start and locate here that uses a lot of electricity. That's when I'd start to consider, hey, where we at on usage for our citizens. You know, we've seen, I'm not getting into feelings about solar panels and wind turbines, but part of the reason Whirlpool put in the wind turbines is supplement their energy usage. And I know Moriroku, former GTI, they're looking at a turbine and some solar panels to supplement their energy usage into their plant as well. But both of those there is to kind of fend off some of the electric needs. And it also provides some savings of energy costs for production and things like that.
You know, these data centers they talk about now going in different places, going to be a huge, huge demand for electricity for those. And it's like you said, if we're going to, cut down our generation, how do we meet that demand then? And it's going to be just, ugh.
Well, I
It's like California with, saying, oh, we're going to be all electric cars. Well, that's fine, but they'd have to have 5 times the production capacity they have now to be able to do that.
I think one of the things we're starting to see come back too is nuclear energy. I think
Yes.
there's like 12 or 15 plants right now are licensed to be built. And they're bringing some old ones back online, and that's really very cheap, very safe, very usable energy. So that's a good part to be in right now.
I've always said with nuclear power, I think it's great, just let the United States Navy run it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you take a look at the United States Navy and their safety record with their subs and then their ships and everything. I mean, they know what they're doing and they know how to run it. Just have to
Basically-
let them do it.
Yeah, basically an aircraft carrier is a floating city with
Exactly.
5,000 people, and they've been nuclear powered. They don't need to refuel but once every 25, 30 years?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it's just,
We kind of
Well,
strayed
let me-
off course here a
I'm
little
gonna
bit.
jump
Let's
back
get back to Darke County.
Finish Galen's second half of his question is, your bill's broke up into 2 sections. There's cost of electric and then cost of delivery. So the delivery cost covers the grid side of it. That covers your transformer maintenance, when ice breaks down poles, maintenance of guys. So the process of creating energy is different than the process of maintaining the grid. So the cost of grid won't change. So AAS, that price will be that price. You're just looking at the generation side of your bill, the electric portion of it. So the side of maintaining equipment, maintaining lines, stuff like that, that's billed by AES. AES gets that operating back, so it'll maintain those lines. So there's no fear of going with aggregation, hey, I'm gonna hurt AES. No, you're just saving on the generation side and not on the maintenance side of your bill. Because I doubt probably 1 out of 1,000 people open up their electric bill and like, oh my, look at this, and then they see taxes and they throw the bill down, and just pay the bill. But there's a lot of generation taxes on there that goes to the state and goes to feds and all the other people that has their hand in our pocket, that goes in as part of the bill, but they don't ever see the 2 pieces of their electric bill, generation and delivery, or getting it to your house.
Matt, let's say you're on the township's aggregation and the county has better price, can you get out of the township and get on the county?
You can't. So if you're already in an aggregated township or an aggregation, you're in that group. I'd love to have everybody on the same billing cycle, same bidding cycle, just because of en masse. Eventually we may get there, but like I said before when I started this, is us as a government entity can't reach into the pockets of the other government entities and say you have to do this. So that's the freedom of local small government, is you can operate yourself in your own little world without infringing on your neighbors, because that's home rule.
Yeah. And that's so important, because sometimes I think we get so involved in things at a national, even state level, we forget that the things that really have a day-to-day impact is at the local level. And people have to pay more attention, not only to what's on the ballot, but who's on the ballot, that makes life easier for them in the long run. So,
Well, the ones local is the ones spending your money.
Exactly.
You pay your taxes, and those are the folks that's gonna impact you more than anybody else.
How will this appear on the ballots when we go in early voting or go in on election day? What will this appear as on the ballot? Is it like an issue or what?
It'll show up as an issue. It'll show up as electric aggregation. So after you get done with your candidates, there'll be a separate page, like always, that'll have this on there. And it'll just say electric aggregation, and it'll tell you that what's going on, or like a short description. And then if you live in one of the villages, it shows up the same way. You may have millages on for income tax for the village operations or school or something, but this will be in with those issues. Typically, it's the secondary issue, so they'll put their millages on, and then the aggregation will be after that. So it's probably be the last item you'll see on your ballots.
Okay. All right, so that'll be on the ballot coming up here. Well, the early
Voting's
voting's already started.
Yeah. That's kind of why I'm thankful for you guys for allowing me to come in and talk about it. The other two commissioners, they said, hey, you got this down cold. You've been through this a couple times. And I've been talking electric probably for the last 4 or 5 years because, I'm aggregated and I see huge savings. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, is just to see some savings for our folks.
Okay.
And now one final thought before we wrap it up is, you can go do this without aggregation. The county is just making it easy for the folks that don't have the time to go on the computer, sort out which, what, how, when, how, and all this. So this is the folks that just goes to work, comes home, deals with the kids, goes to bed, and starts all over again. This will save them money because they don't want to go out and do that extra step of getting on the computer and signing up. So this is just taking one extra burden off your plate to find you some savings within your operation of your utility bills.
Okay.
And
Sounds
I
great.
would like to add too that this is a great idea, and Palmer Energy, after working with them for so long, we have, and their people and how they come in every month and give us every month they're in there. Amy Hoffman comes in and she's got what's going on with gas, electric, the whole thing. They give really good projections of what it's going to be in the future. They're very, very thorough at what they do, and they're a great company to be with. And I think Matt and them were very smart having Palmer come in. So they're a good company, and I trust them very much.
Yeah, speaking of what's coming up and where we stand now, you and Mike are headed to a planning commission. What's
Yep.
going on with the planning commission?
Once a month we meet for people that wants to separate properties. Let's say I have a son that wants to have a house. They look at my farm. I say, I'm going to divide this corner of the farm off. We have hearings, viewings, make sure everything's good. And then we're the ones that say, yep, you're good to separate that property. So that's what it amounts to there. There's always something going on in the county. Families get together and you want to bring your kids home, or let's say you're doing estate planning. So you kind of separate larger farms into 2 parcels. Let's say you have 2 kids, you can split your farm, and that's kind of stuff that goes on there. You want to add the woods, bring the woods back into production with the rest of the farm so we can join properties, things like that.
That doesn't have anything to do then with zoning boards for individual townships.
So individual townships, certain ones, look at it first, and then we give our stamp of approval second.
It comes to you next. Okay, I was going to say, because I know like Neef Township zoning board and then Board of Appeals, and it goes on
Well,
and on.
you got to look at too. Do you have the right property lines? Are you far enough? Have you got enough property to put a septic system on? How's your water? What kind of buildings you got to put there? There's a lot involved with that, and we want to make sure everybody gets a fair shake at it.
Yeah, I just dealt with that for about 4 years with Franklin County through COVID when the courthouse was shut down on my cousin's estate, and thankfully we got that resolved. But I had more hair and less gray when I started that process.
I think we're probably a little bit easier than Franklin County.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, Galen, anything?
No, I'd just like to thank Matt. I know it's really, when Matt comes in or whenever you talk to him on the street, Matt always does his homework. No matter what you're going to talk about in the county, Matt really is up to date on it, and I appreciate the work you do and the other 2 commissioners.
And I'd also like to say that having worked with Matt and knowing the other 2 guys, Darke County is one of the few counties in the state of Ohio that has no debt, and we're also very well led. Those guys up here do a great job, except for Marshall, but he's okay.
Well, I tell you, we're fortunate that we're probably the youngest county
Yes.
board in the state. We got a 30-something, and we got 2 44-year-olds in there operating a county of 52,000 people, and they trust us to operate it. And being completely out of debt now, and we're probably financially as stable as we've ever been as a county. With this real estate topic, we'll come back and talk about that another day. About the taxes, because that's like a 2 or 3 day kind of conversation on real estate taxes and how that's going to be. But
Yeah.
not knowing what it is, you want to make sure you have enough money laid back for the rainy day, and that rainy day is probably coming as a hurricane one of these days.
Storm
So
clouds on the horizon,
They
possibly,
are.
huh?
So we've been talking with fire, EMS, the park districts, and all the other folks that gets millages. I'm hoping to get with the Veterans Association because they get the first $500,000 of our taxes. So if real estate taxes go away, how does that affect that group? So there's some big conversations that's being had in the background. Reason it isn't super public yet and not mainstream media is because you don't talk about it this November when it isn't on the ballot till next November.
Yeah.
You're talking to your legislators now how to fix things and get things reduced and how to make things work and find conservative savings. And that's where we're at in this conversation.
Yeah.
And there's some things happening.
So as young as you are, any aspirations to move on up to Congress or state?
So my wife, when I started this political, and Michael second this, is I had to make a promise to my wife if I got active in political, I had to wait till all my kids were out of school before I looked at anything else.
You're close.
My son's a sophomore.
Okay,
So, but having a brand new commissioner and a commissioner that's been in 3 years, I want to feel safe if I do anything else, that we're leaving this county in excellent hands that has the knowledge and base to can move forward. And that both of the guys in there, I'm very confident is getting there. It's just a lot to learn. It took me probably sitting in there 3 years just to even see which way is up. And then another 2 years to understand the financials. It takes a long time to get this on anything. If you're on school board, city council,
Mhm.
your
Yeah,
head
it's
your head
cycle.
just spins until you get finding, and I think we're getting there. We really are.
was Stiegel your mentor? That's why it took so long, probably.
Well, he's one of the 5 commissioners I've served with, so I've learned a little bit of everything. But I tell you, Carol Ginn kept me in line. She is
Everybody.
everybody in line. But
Well, hey, we will have you back when we find out a little bit more about how the real estate taxation, because that'll probably be on the ballot a year from now. And we'll discuss that further on. But I know you guys have a meeting to get to. And so thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for
Yeah,
being with us. It's
appreciate
Matt
it.
Aultman, County Commissioner here in Darke County. And on behalf of Mike Stiegel, Galen Blosser, Alex Warner, and Nick Schmidt, our videographer, thanks for joining us here on another episode of the Roundtable here at mycountylink.com. Until we see you next time, have a good day.